Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. Hello. Let's see, I gotta get back to the comments. Okay, y'all can hear me. I'm just going to give everybody a minute to jump on. I had some extra time tonight, so I figured I would take questions. Before I get started, I need to tell you that this presentation is for informational purposes and is not legal advice, as every claim is different. Viewing this presentation does not form an agent-client relationship with Carmella George of Jacksonville Veterans Disability Services. If you have specific questions regarding your claim, consult with the veteran's VSO, agent, or attorney. Hello, everybody. I am taking questions live. Your question will show up on the screen. So ask away. I hope everybody's claim process is going well. Hello. It's Friday Night Live. I had some extra time, so I figured I would hop on and take some questions. About 30 minutes or so. Just waiting for some questions to appear. This is a very good question. Was reduced due to COVID, but VA said I missed my appointment. What to do? This is a problem across the VA. A number of claims have been canceled because they said you missed the appointment, but you never got notification of the appointment. So what the VA is doing is going through a review of all claims and making sure that they did not do that to anybody. So you might see an extra something reopen on your va.gov account or eBenefits account, and that is the VA reviewing the decision that they made. I've had this happen to 5 or 6 veterans, and the VA has, after a couple of weeks, reopened the case themselves. So, but I definitely wouldn't wait on the VA. Go ahead and write the VA, do a statement, say, hey, I was never notified of the appointment. I never missed the appointment. Please review my case as soon as possible to get somebody to look at it. Call the White House hotline, do something. Squeaky wheel gets the oil with the VA. So make some noise. Hello. Can you be denied a claim because your diagnosis came from a remote doctor? This is a very good question too. The answer is at the agency level, they have a procedural, it's not a regulation, a procedural rule that says telehealth appointments shall not be considered in your VA disability decision. The thing is, at the Board of Veterans Appeals, they accept telehealth opinions. So if you get one, you're probably, if the VA finds out that it was telehealth or notes that it was telehealth, you're going to need to take your case to the board. It's ridiculous that they have different rules like that. It should not, the VA should not be against telehealth when they do telehealth themselves for veterans and disability claims, especially for, I could see physical claims, but for mental health claims, I don't see absolutely anything wrong with a telehealth appointment or a telehealth exam. As long as the psychiatrist can see you, or psychologist can see you, understand what you're saying, and get the nature of your disability from the video conference, then I don't necessarily advocate for telephone appointments, but something's better than nothing. The thing is, the VA cannot summarily reject evidence. For some reason, they're doing that with telehealth, and I don't think it's right. You should take it to the board. It is my pleasure. You should take it to the board. Do you know the average time frame for VA backlog claims since COVID-19? Are they still working? The last time my claim was looked at was March 16th. Yes, they are still working. I don't have a good sense of the timing since COVID has been in effect, because some veterans claims are getting done like that, and some haven't moved since January. HLRs are taking longer, appeals are taking longer, and I would give it at this point 6 months for a claim. But it can be done faster, especially since they've started back CMP exams. But if you filed a claim at the time that they weren't doing CMP exams, you're probably looking at a 6-month claim. Hello, can secondary conditions be filed on e-benefits? If not, how are secondary conditions filed? Yes, they can be filed on e-benefits. Once you type in a condition, or once you get to the disability record section of the application for compensation, your disabilities will come up, and on to the right of that, there's an option that says add secondary. You need to click that and add your secondary condition on e-benefits. It works a little bit different on va.gov, but there's still the option. %, depression, alcohol disorder. Symptoms got worse. I have a report from the outside doc. Should I go for 100%? This is a good question. I would have to look at the specifics of your case. I cannot advise you without doing that, but advise you properly without doing that. But generally, it is terribly difficult to get to 100% for a mental health disorder. You need to be seriously, seriously ill. Worse does not mean 100%. Horrible, terrible, ridiculous means 100%. Totally disabling your condition has to be. Many times, and I'm not saying this for your case because I don't know the specifics, many times it's best to leave the 70% alone and try to add something secondary like headaches, sleep apnea. I mean, there's a whole list of things, joint pain that can be secondary to PTSD that there's medical studies about, and will help you get to 100%. But 100% itself for PTSD, depression, alcohol use disorder is a terribly difficult feat, as it should be. I don't think the VA is wrong for that, but you need to be in really bad shape. I've been seen at my local medical center since 2009. However, I only pull up my records up to January 1st, 2013 on my Health Evet site. Do you know the easiest way to retrieve the ones from 2009 to 2012? I think that you would have to go to the VAMC and request them because they're so old. That will be my best advice. Usually VAMC is a little faster with getting records than the VBA is. The Veterans Benefit side, the Veterans Health Administration is a little bit faster. So you'll probably get them in like a month or a couple months. But find the records department at your local VAMC and fill out, it's like a one-page form you have to fill out to get your records. And I think that's the easiest way to retrieve it. I don't think that you'll be able to get them electronically. But I haven't been on my Health Evet in a while, so I could be wrong. How do I apply for temporary 100% due to convalescence for knee surgery? What form? I've been asking my doctor to write documentation since he prescribed, but I'm getting no response. And my vet rep say I need documentation before filing. Your vet rep is right. You do need documentation, and you're not going to get temporary 100% without documentation from your doctor. Just ask the doctor to write a doctor's note, like that either puts you out of work and says for how long. It's just that simple. You don't need anything fancy. Doesn't have to be 10 pages. It can be one page that says I put so-and-so out of work for 10 weeks. And that's sufficient for the VA. In terms of applying, you can apply either on e-benefits. When you get to the disability section, just type in total temporary 100%, total temporary disability, or you can file on the paper application and write total temporary disability on the application. So definitely listen to your vet rep, get the documentation before you file. That will help you tremendously. In my service records, I was seen multiple times for back injury, knee injury, and flat feet. Filed a claim and was denied for it and was told it was not service connected. Been seeing outside doctors for all issues. Should I reapply? Generally, I don't know the specifics of your case, but generally I would say yes. It sounds like what you need is a nexus, somebody to tie your injuries or conditions to service clearly. If your doctors are willing to do that, that would be awesome. But you may want to find a Nexus letter before you reapply. What you need to do is look at the rating decision from where it was denied and find the specific reason why it was denied. The VA always tells you why they deny. They tell you exactly why they deny in the letter. Well, and 97% of cases. Some notices are not proper. And I don't mean proper. Some of them are not as detailed as they should be, and they skip evidence and things like that. But for the majority of rating decisions, they're going to tell you exactly why it was denied. You need to find that reason. Either they're going to say the injury did not occur in service, there's no nexus, or there's no nexus, or injury didn't occur in service, there's no nexus, or you don't have a currently diagnosed condition. Those are the usual 3 reasons. Is filing on eBenefits website and uploading documentation such as Nexus letters and buddy statements equivalent to mailing it in? Yes, it is. It's a fabulous way to do it. The VA actually in January is planning to take away the faxing capability for veterans. And so you're either going to need to go to a representative and do direct upload, or I don't know that they're going to make direct upload available to all veterans, but or either mail your packet in. So uploading it on eBenefits is sort of the easy way to do it. And it ensures that the examiner sees your evidence, because when the VA sends your file out to a contractor, sometimes they do that when they request the exam. And many times when you submit evidence after that, the exam requests are so fast these days that the evidence you submitted doesn't get to the doctor. So submitting evidence with your claim is the best way to go. Why does the VA keep denying lower back claims, even if you had surgery while in active duty and having more issues afterwards? Even though paperwork was sent in, the eval was done after getting out. Do you need to get a secondary after everything is in your military record and they see it is still denying the fact that you could be disabled? I would have to look at the specifics of your case. There is a specific reason that you keep getting denied. Either they're saying you don't have a current diagnosis, the doctor did not provide a positive medical opinion, there's no nexus, or they're saying, well, obviously you had surgery in service. And so there should be some residuals of that surgery. Did you properly claim your disability as residuals from back surgery? At least your scar should be rated, even if it's 0%. And so if you had back surgery while in service, you should definitely be service connected for your back. And you need to get a good representative and get that approved. They might be saying that you need new and relevant evidence. For some reason, when you applied the first time, your claim was deficient, or you didn't get a positive medical opinion, and they're saying you need new evidence to reopen it. And that's why they keep denying it. And if that's the case, then you need to get a nexus or write a statement or do something to give the VA new evidence where they can reopen your case. I had a telehealth CMP exam for PTSD claim on June 16th. Doctor stated I should be 70% if it was up to him, but it's up to the VA. My question is, how long would it take for a rating? Also, they scheduled me for another telehealth appointment for PTSD. Is this an error, or should I do this appointment as well? This is a good question. I can't tell you how long it's going to take. The rating could happen in 2 days, or it could happen in 2 months. It depends on how fast the Veterans Benefits Management System, the electronic system of records for the VA, moves your claim along. If it's tracking correctly, when the exam is returned from the doctor, it should move your claim to the next stage, and you should have a decision within at least a month. But sometimes, actually often, the system does not track claims correctly, and it has to be, somebody has to manually go in the claim and move it to the next stage. And that for somebody to look at your claim again, that might take some time. So, I can't tell you the specifics of how long your claim is going to take exactly, but if they schedule you for another PTSD appointment, it might be one that you don't need to attend. You should call the VA or the contractor and ask, is this an appointment I need to attend? The VA might be seeking clarification from the examiner on his opinion. But if they are asking you to attend an appointment again, definitely attend the appointment. But it would be really strange to have 2 appointments. They're probably just looking for a medical opinion from the doctor or clarification. If I rated 0% for headaches and have a diagnosis of migraines and a migraine buddy headache log uploaded on eBenefit, am I fine to apply with that for an increase? Yes. You actually, the diagnosis part is not relevant because you're already rated for it. But the headache log will help the examiner see how bad your headaches are. So you should definitely put in for an increase ASAP based on what you told me. It won't hurt anything. You're at 0% right now as it is. Seven to 8 migraine attacks every month, plus anxiety, depression since the last 3 or 4 years. What will be the best possible rating? Will it be 2 separate ratings, or will it conclude in 1 rating? It's a good question. The max possible rating for migraines is 50%. And so if you're having 7 to 8 attacks a month, that's very frequent. And you should be rated 50%, basically. But I don't know the specifics of your case. And anxiety, depression part depends on if you specifically claim that secondary. If you claim that as secondary, they're going to send you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and that should be rated separately. I hope you didn't just lump it all together, anxiety headaches or depression headaches or something like that, because it should be rated separately. I went to a CMP exam for a remand. Sleep apnea, and I feel the exam was not great. The exam lasted less than 10 minutes. I also went for sinusitis, but it was not added secondary to my sleep apnea. I was told that once the CMP examiner gives their opinion, another person reviews it before it goes back to the judge. If the doc does not see there is OSA, but my records state an account of sleep apnea, can it still be approved? Yes. The answer is yes, but it likely won't be approved. If the CMP examiner says no, the VA usually goes with that, and that's the end of it for that specific round of the claim. But there is a possibility that they could look at your VA treatment records or something like that, and still approve your claim. It just depends on the rater you get, the examiner you get, and that type of thing. But I will say that a 10-minute exam for sleep apnea is not abnormal. Actually, that's very normal. The sleep apnea DBQ is like 2 pages, and I only ask a couple questions. Do you have sleep apnea? Do you use a machine? That's basically all it is. And so, because I would not take anything away from the fact that the exam was short. Good evening. I was diagnosed with TMJ in service, and I have since been diagnosed again by VA by ENT. I also suffer from Meniere's, which causes vertigo. Can you please advise the best way to file these claims? Is it best to file TMJ primary and then Meniere's secondary? I would say that it's probably best if you did not have Meniere's specifically in service and were diagnosed with it in service, it's probably best to file TMJ primary and then Meniere's secondary to it, or vertigo secondary to it, one or the other. Are you familiar with ABCMR cases? I don't know what that acronym is. Can you write that out for me? What's the average rating for PTSD when first granted? Most PTSD cases that I see, this is anecdotal, so take it for what it is, are rated either 50% or 70%. Some are rated too low at 30%. I believe PTSD itself, especially if you were in combat, lends itself to a 50% rating. But that's just my personal belief. So if you have anything less than 50%, I would ask for an increase. But the average that I see is 50%, 50% or 70% when rated for PTSD. Do you consider migraine buddy headaches logs as file type, other correspondence, private medical records, or lay evidence statement? I would put it as private medical records. I just received 100% TMP, and I would like to know what form do I need for my kids who are both college age to go to school. They can go to school absent of any form, but I'm not necessarily sure what you're asking. Chapter 35 benefits dependents and educational assistance. There are lots of forms and certifications. The first, they need to go to the VA certifying official at the school and get the form and fill it out, and to have the VA certify that they're eligible for benefits, and then the VA official will make sure they get those benefits. That's basically what they need to do. They need to make contact with the VA certifying official at the school. Your state might also have some benefits like scholarships. I know here in North Carolina, up until just recently, 100% TMP veterans, their children went to school tuition free. I think they just modified that a little bit, but there might be some state benefits other than federal benefits for your child too. So with DEA, Dependents Educational Assistance, there should be, your child should get a check every month. When I was going to school, my dad was 100%. It was around $1,200 a month, but it's probably higher now due to cost of living adjustments. About to do my CMP exams. Any advice? What is the CMP exam for would be my question. I sent my denied claim up for a higher level review, and the paperwork stated that a duty to assist error has been identified. So now do I have to resubmit a supplemental claim or what? No. When a duty to assist error is identified in a claim, one second. When a duty to assist error is identified in a claim, the VA is going to send it back itself to the supplemental claim line for further development by the VA. Something that means something was not done correctly the first time in your case. And so a higher level official is sending it back to the lower level to do what they need to do to correct the error. It's actually a positive thing when a duty to assist error is found. That means you have another shot at the apple. So duty to assist errors are common now with the advent of higher level reviews. The VA is finding them all the time and sending claims back to the lower level. And so you just need to wait on the VA to adjudicate the error. I do not resubmit any other paperwork unless they send you a subsequent letter, and say they need something else. If they say they need a statement or they need some more records, then submit the statements and records. My husband got turned down, but had testicular cancer and has a huge scar. Did he have testicular cancer specifically in service, or was it just testicular pain at that point? You need to make sure that he's claiming the correct disability. I'm not saying that he hasn't, he probably has, and it's just the VA being the VA, but make sure that there's a long word that starts with the E. I'm not even going to try to say it. That means testicular pain. Then there's testicular cancer. If he's applying for cancer and he did not specifically have cancer in service, then they might turn him down. Also, he needs to separately claim the scar. So if they denied that and he had testicular cancer in service, I would definitely appeal. Don't be afraid to take it to the board. If you have been diagnosed with sleep apnea by an outside doctor and VA with a CPAP plus bloody letter and was denied, what other evidence could I get to reopen my case? A Nexus letter. That's pretty much it. A doctor saying that your sleep apnea is either secondarily connected to service or primarily directly connected to service, based on symptoms or you had during service or something like that. Your VA doctor can also write that letter. So I was denied service connection for arthritic knees, but the denial letter stated the onset occurred in service, but there was no link. Can my pre-existing flat feet cause my knees and back problems? The answer is yes. I've seen knees connected and back problems connected on the basis of flat feet, secondarily to flat feet, but if you had knee problems in service, and they're saying there's no nexus, you might have just had a bad examiner and need to get an outside nexus letter, but you could also connect it secondarily, and that'll give you another shot, another exam, another bite at the apple. I was physically assaulted while in service. Could I file a claim for PTSD? Yes, you could file a claim for PTSD, but it would be best to have a diagnosis first. A diagnosis of PTSD will help you greatly with the PTSD claim, because you might go to an examiner and they're going to say you have depression, anxiety, bipolar, something other than PTSD, and that might hurt your claim. If you were physically assaulted while in service, you need to file PTSD based on personal trauma. Write a stressor statement, turn that in, let the VA try to verify it. And if you can get buddy letters, the reports in service, or anything like that, that would definitely help your case. But you could file a claim for PTSD. The question is, do you have a diagnosis of PTSD? Should we write a personal statement for everything we apply for? Yes. I've been granted a claim. How long does it take to get a rating? It all depends. It could take 2 weeks. It could take a month or two. Is there a rating for insomnia? Yes, they rate insomnia insomnia as a mental health condition. So you can either get 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, or 100 for it. Insomnia is rated as a mental health condition in most cases. If you are going to a psychiatrist for rape while active duty but never press charges are filed, can you still claim? Most definitely, you can still claim. What the VA is looking for in the case where charges were never pressed or a report is filed are markers in your service. Was there any behavioral change, any unit change, any performance change? Did you have a breakdown and went to the doctor? Anything that can show that something happened, that gives context clues to the event would be helpful. If you had a buddy you told about it and they write a letter for you, that would be extremely helpful. I can tell you that they're not just going to approve it. You have to provide them, probably not just going to approve it. You could go to the psychiatrist and the psychiatrist could say, yeah, that happened. But usually you need to give the VA some type of marker in service. Why is a CMP exam necessary when the decision is up to the rater? Because most times, this is a good question. The VA has a duty to assist you by regulation, has a duty to assist you in getting evidence to substantiate your claim. The VA process is supposed to be a non-adversarial process, which means the VA is supposed to help you prove your claim. Most times a claim is filed, additional medical evidence or a medical opinion is needed to make the decision. They need a medical professional to say clearly that it's either directly linked to service or secondarily linked to service or aggravated by service. And that's why a CMP exam is necessary. A rater can't give a medical opinion. They can make a legal decision. For PTSD, MST claims, how many counsel sessions do you need to show before FDC is submitted? I'm on my 3rd session and have all other evidence needed. I would say 3. There's no set standard though. You don't have to have any counseling sessions to apply to claim PTSD MST, but the evidence helps. Means you probably likely have a diagnosis and a psychiatrist has written some notes about it. So it should help your claim. But there's no specific number of counseling sessions. But if you're on your 3rd, get the records and go ahead and file your claim. My chronic depression, anxiety, PTSD, MST was all lumped into one. Can I, should I, how can I separate them? You can't. You can only be rated for one mental health rating at a time. And so if you have multiple mental health conditions, they're just going to lump them together and give you one rating for it. What should happen is you should get, the veteran is supposed to get the highest benefit. So whatever condition is causing you the most problems is what should be rated, and you should get the best rating that the doctor feels that you can for that. Usually on the exam, the doctor will say that they can't tell the difference between the symptoms of the different mental conditions. And so that's why it's lumped all into one. But you can't separate them. It's just going to be one, and you should not pursue that because you could actually hurt your mental health rating. Part 1. I claimed claustrophobia and my claim was denied. The CMP stated I have a diagnosis for claustrophobia and it was more likely than not caused in service. Then they might say that you didn't have any service treatment records for it. So there was no event in service. But I'm listening for part 2. Mental health claims are all filed as one normally under PTSD. As the mental health diagnosis, you have, okay, yes. Part 2. I filed an HLR based on the fact that the rater did not list in the evidence section the automobile accident that I had that occurred while in service. Have you written a personal statement about your claustrophobia? If the auto accident caused that, then you need to connect the dots for the rater. The VA is not just going to look at your records and know that. So I would point to the record in service during the HLR. But you can't introduce new evidence during a higher level review, but you can't introduce argument. And so I would say that caused my claustrophobia, but it was overlooked. So there's been an error. The CMP exam is for PTSD, GERD, back, and knees. For PTSD, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube for PTSD, first of all. I would take a look at those. And so I would take a look at a back exam on YouTube and a knee exam to see what the doctor is going to do. So you know ahead of time what the doctor is looking for and what the doctor is going to do. Basically, for GERD, they're just going to ask you questions, but and look at your records. But for PTSD, I wouldn't have my best day. You need to show the examiner what it's like on your worst day. That's not acting. That's letting them see the real picture of what you're going through. That's not trying to manipulate the system or anything like that. They don't schedule CMP exams. They don't call you and say, are you in a flare-up right now? Can I schedule your exam? They schedule it whenever it's available for scheduling. And so the examiner needs to grasp how bad your PTSD is. You need to have put some forethought into what you're going to say. They're going to ask you questions about pre-military, during the military, post-military, relationship issues, divorce, anything like that, legal problems. You want to try to minimize any attempt for the VA to say that it was something else besides the military that caused your PTSD or caused your mental health condition. You need to be ready to give examples. For instance, I go in crowds and I have extreme anxiety. I still smell the smell of dead bodies. I experience nightmares almost nightly. I'm suspicious of everybody. I want to fight all the time. You need to be clear and specific on things that you go through with your mental health condition. If it's pain that is a trigger for your mental health condition, then you need to be clear on that. But that's my advice for the mental health exam. For GERD, back in your knees, GERD, they're going to ask you questions. Be very clear on how frequent your GERD is. What, does it cause you to vomit? Does it cause headaches? What does it cause? For your back and your knees, it's a range of motion exam. So the doctor is going to do some lifting and bending and test how far it can go. I would say you need to tell the doctor and be vocal on where your first point of pain is. You don't have to stop there necessarily, but the examiner needs to know this is where my pain starts, because that's the degree that they should be writing on the examination. I was going to say something else about that. For your back and your knees, it's a range of motion exam. Also remember, it's about what you show, not about what you say. What you say is subjective. What you show is objective. What the doctor can actually see. So if they hear your knee popping, if your knees pop all the time when you walk upstairs or something like that, tell the doctor. The doctor needs to know that. If when they're moving your leg, if your leg hurts, show some signs. Don't just sit there. You need to have some facial expressions, some sounds, some something. I'm not telling you to manipulate the system to overact, to make anything more than what it is. But what I'm telling you is you're in a disability exam and you need to show your disability. If the doctor's just bending your leg forwards and backwards and you're not saying anything or making any motions or showing any signs of pain, you're probably not going to get rated for your knees and back. Have you seen Lincoln COPD to in-service events such as asbestos dust, working on flight deck, and service of events hospitalized due to pneumonia? Yes, I have. I've seen it. Allstate Insurance Company provided an affidavit that the rater did not list in the evidence section. Is this favorable finding binding going forward? Yes, it is. Should females claim sexual female arousal disorder? Is there a percentage for it, compensation? Yes, if you have it, yes, you should. It's usually secondary to something, but if you have it and you believe the military caused it, you should claim it. The percentage you usually get for it is 0. It's just like erectile dysfunction, but it's considered loss of use of a creative organ, so you get special monthly compensation for it, which is like an extra $120 a month. I would not make light of that. $120 a month is another $1,000 a year. That will cover your cell phone bill for the whole year. So if you have female sexual arousal disorder, definitely claim it and look forward to that special monthly compensation if you get a positive opinion. Are DBQs still accepted? Absolutely yes. Does going from 90% scheduler to 100% scheduler require anything other than the rating percentages to add up to combine 95% or higher? No, it doesn't require anything else. They just need to add up to 95% or higher using VA math and with the bilateral factor and all that. Can vertigo be claimed secondary to tinnitus? I've seen it. If you are service connected for tinnitus, can Meniere's be thought as secondary if you've been diagnosed for Meniere's disease? I've seen it. I was diagnosed with PTSD prior to filing a claim by my VA clinic, but when my CMP exam was complete, they stated I had depression instead. I have shown buddy statements from our deployed time to show proof of my PTSD. What can I do to show otherwise to get rated for PTSD? Did you get rated for depression? If you get rated for one mental health condition, that's your PTSD is the same thing. You could only be rated for one mental health condition. What was the outcome of that depression claim? Did the doctor say it was service connected? Depression has a lower standard than PTSD. You might want to pursue a depression claim instead. But you to to prove PTSD, you need to have a diagnosis of PTSD. So get an outside doctor or a VA doctor to diagnose PTSD if that's what you have. When filing an HLR, is it best to let the VA make a decision or request a conference? Request a conference. Request a conference. Informal conferences can make all the difference in your HLR. The rater needs to hear your story. Get a good representative. Let them speak for you, so they can tell the rater the exact legal error that has happened, or duty to assist error, and why it needs to be either rated on a difference of opinion or sent back to the lower level for some further development. Whenever I file for a condition with new and updated medical documents, I continually receive the statement is not new or material. What is the VA looking for? The standard these days is new and relevant. That was supposed to lower the standard for new and material evidence. What they're looking for is evidence that tends to prove or disprove an issue in the claim. At the agency level, they frequently get this wrong. They don't understand that does not mean new material evidence does just not mean a nexus. It can be a personal statement too. It could be a number of things. In the case that you have submitted new evidence and you know is new and relevant, you need to either ask for a high-level review or take your case to the board. What is an ACE examination? It's basically an examination where you're not there. The doctor uses your records to make a decision, to give an opinion on your claim. I can't seem to get my DD-214. I have tried everything. If you filed a claim or if you're rated for something, your DD-214 is probably in VBMS. Find a representative with electronic access to the VA system. Should not be hard to do. Somebody in your county likely has access, a VSO or something like that, and have them print off your DD-214 for you. That's probably the fastest way to get it. If I'm claiming depression secondary to flat feet with the Nexus letter, I already service connected for flat feet, and I'm currently have a diagnosis of anxiety, but didn't have it in my STRs. Can I claim depression as a secondary and anxiety as a primary? You could try that, but the secondary claim will probably be your best shot. Yes, you can do both is the answer to the question. I was denied for PTSD increase, migraines increase, and several other secondary claims last August. I currently have an LOI in place since last September. I plan to do a supplemental claim for the condition denied, and one second. I plan to do a supplemental claim for the condition denied and will do a new claim for other conditions. Should I wait until I have all documentation together before I submit new claims, or is it best just to submit it now and send in supporting documents in later? If you're submitting a supplemental claim, you need to submit new evidence with it. I usually don't advise waiting, but in the case of a supplemental claim, it's just going to get denied if you don't submit new and relevant evidence in it. So get your documentation together as soon as possible, because intent to files are no good on supplemental claims. And go ahead and get your claim in. Don't let the delay be on your part. Have you ever heard of a veteran going to their CMP exam and the provider having the wrong questionnaire? Yes. Sometimes they don't have your record. Sometimes they have the wrong questionnaire. Sometimes they have an erroneous exam request. It happens. In that case, you need to write the VA, tell them what happened, request a new exam. You can do that. Get a representative who can contact somebody at the VA, email somebody, and get something done. Have you seen a claim for Bell's palsy and what causes it? I've seen claims for Bell's palsy. I'm not a medical professional and I don't know what causes it, but I know it's like when your face is drooping and stuff like that. You might have some symptoms during service or something like that. I can't really tell you what causes it. Is there a way to have medical records updated if my psychiatrist did not accurately note my symptoms and things I mentioned during our session? Yes, you can file an amendment request to your records. I don't numerally say things like this, but Google how to amend a medical record and follow that advice. You know, some great articles will pop up in the beginning that will tell you exactly how to go about amending your medical record. There might be some forms that you can use, some general forms that you can use for the VA, and check the file section of the group. Somebody or I might have uploaded something previously that might help you, but you need to ask for an amendment to your medical records. Now, the final decision on whether it gets updated lies with the doctor. That's what the law says. But you can try to get it changed. And you can submit your amendment request as evidence in your claim. If my intent to file expires in one day and I don't have time to write a personal statement before clicking submit on my claim, can I mail one in or upload it in a few days? Yes. Go ahead and submit your claim. Finally received my rating 10 years later for PTSD. They rated 30% even though doctors stated two separate things for rating. One gave me 30, the other would have been 50 to 70. Appeal. Appeal the evaluation of your PTSD. I was diagnosed with PTSD, not service-connected. I have received multiple VA counseling sessions with notes regarding MST service-related issues and have finally filed a claim. I just had my CMP exam last week, which took 2 hours. I was unable to provide witnesses to the examiner other than being on military orders at the time of the event, and my service records do not show negative ratings after the events. Is this going to hurt my claim? Do I need to have family write supportive letters? I can't see the rest of your question. Do I need to have family write supportive letters, or should I wait and see what occurs with my claim? In this case, I don't know all the specifics of your claim. So this is very general advice. Based on what you told me, I would see the outcome of your claim, and then if you need the letters, use them as new evidence, new and relevant evidence to do a supplemental claim and get your claim reopened. That's what it sounds like you should do. But again, I don't know all the specifics of your claim. And I say that because veterans frequently, very, very frequently, every day, tell me situations with their claims. And then I get their files and I see something completely different, or I see exactly what the problem is. I see what the error is, and it's not what they told me. So what I'm telling you is based on what you told me, that's my advice. But if I were to see your file, I might say something different. I was denied service connection for my ankle. I had documented injury during service and doctor wrote asbestos present. Examiner said it was caused by my weight. Can I fight it? Yes, definitely appeal. I will take it to the board if need be. My claim went from November 2020 to November 2021. What would cause that? There's all kind of delays that can happen. They could, COVID is slowing down CMP exams. It could be that they need a clarification from the examiner. It could be that somebody didn't properly request exams or do something initially for your claim, some type of development that needed to be done. And so the VA is making sure your claim is adjudicated properly, and they've deferred something or put it off. There's all sorts of reasons why the date could have moved. Frequently, the VA dates are out of line with the actual timeline of your claim. So you're probably, I can tell you without looking at your file, you're probably going to get a decision before May 2021. But the VA is saying that, to decrease anxiety. How long does it take for deferred claims to be given a response? Also, after does your claim get back paid to when it was started? There's no specific time frame for deferred claims. It depends on what type of development needs to be done to adjudicate the claim, to process the claim. If it just needs to be sent back to the doctor to get a clarification on his opinion, it depends on how fast the doctor is. Some doctors take a day, some take weeks, some take months to get the claim back to the VA. Also, it may take some time to get your claim back to the doctor, because some agencies or contractors have processes that they go through. And then after the doctor writes something, then they go through quality assurance and other people, and it just takes like forever. It's specifically VES, Veterans Evaluation Services, takes forever to get claims back to the VA. They have all these processes they go through, and it just takes a long time. Also, does your claim get paid back to when the claim was started? If you have continuously pursued the claim, which means no 365 days have lapsed between any two claims on a specific condition, then yes, you will get back paid to when the claim started. How do I file a claim if exposed to asbestos? I was on my ship decommission team and there was asbestos present. You just need to file the claim and write exposure to asbestos caused it. Or write a personal statement about your asbestos experience. The VA, if you just write exposed to asbestos, I have asthma, the VA is going to send you a letter and ask you about your specific experiences with asbestos. Did you get seen in service? Blah, 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 blah. So give the VA as much detail as possible up front. What does this mean? VAO, PGC, pre-17, and how can it be used for a claim? That sounds like a precedent opinion or some type of fast training letter that the VA is using. VO General Counsel, probably some type of legal analysis that the VA did of a rule of regulation and how a claim should be adjudicated. Let me look. VAOPGC. Yes, specifically that letter from the Office of General Counsel says that obesity can't be rated by itself. That's basically the opinion of General Counsel, service connection based on obesity, and that it can't be rated by itself. It can be a step in the process. For instance, your obesity might have caused another condition like diabetes or something, but you can't claim obesity and be rated for it. That's what that specific Office of General Counsel opinion is about. How long after your claim closes will you see your letter on e-benefits? I had one closed on 7/14/20 and it's not there yet. Your rating, they don't put rating decisions on e-benefits. I wish they would. I believe they should. If Social Security can do it, if we can, other government agencies can do things securely online, they can find a way, the VA can find a way to put file e-folders online and put the rating decisions online. The fact that it takes 7 to 10 days to mail it is my personal opinion. I hate to get on a soapbox, but the fact that it takes 7 to 15 days to get your letter, and sometimes longer than that, is ridiculous in my opinion. So you're not going to see your letter on e-benefits. What you might see is your rating has updated, or in your list of disabilities it says service connected or not service connected. If it says not service connected, it was denied. If it says service connected, it was granted. So there might be some signs on e-benefits that your rating has increased or decreased or stayed the same, but you're not going to see a letter on e-benefits that specifically gives you the rating decision. You can generate one that tells you your new rating or tells you if you're total and permanent, or even what your pay is going to be, but you can't generate a rating decision. Part 2. I also have MDD and anxiety. How do I move forward with filing for increase, especially since I've just completed a 9-week residential PTSD program, which they gave me 100% temporary for the 9 weeks. What is your current PTSD rating? Is it 30 or 50 or 10? Then you need to, if you just completed a 9-week residential PTSD program, you need to put in for an increase. If that's the case. 70% is about the usual I see as the highest people can go for PTSD. I'm just going to be frank. 100% is difficult to get, but it's not impossible. If your PTSD, anxiety, MDD is that bad, definitely go for it. But I need to know more specifics on your case to advise you exactly what to do. If I'm rated 50% for sleep apnea and I could be rated for asthma, would they be combined? Yes, they're just going to combine that rating because they're both respiratory system conditions. Can sleep apnea be secondary service connected to reactive airways disease? Yes, it can, but they're likely just going to be combined because it's both respiratory system issues. What is the maximum monthly pay for 100%? And if you get rated over 100%, you get more money. There's no way that you can be rated over 100%. What happens is you can get special monthly compensation if you have like loss of use of a creative organ or loss of use of your feet. I just had a veteran yesterday that was rated 100% by himself because he had loss of use of his feet, knees, and back. But his feet were basically amputated in half. Because he fell off a pole, electric pole during service, and had spears or spikes in his shoes. So there's ways to get paid over 100%, but you can't be rated over 100%. I believe the maximum monthly compensation is like $7,000-8,000 is for severe traumatic injuries. And I'm not sure on the number, but I believe I've seen it before. Why is MST and PTSD under the same rating? Because they consider military sexual trauma to be a PTSD situation, a condition. They consider it the same condition. Military sexual trauma is not a diagnosis. It's a name for an event. PTSD is a mental health rating. So you can have PTSD based on MST, but you can't have MST based on MST. MST is not a mental health diagnosis. If we have not received our CMP exams and rating before we retire, how do we receive medical treatment? Can we still go to the VA? I believe the VA provides intern medical treatment for service members that have just gotten out. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I believe from what I've read. But once you get your rating and your exams, you could definitely go sign up for VA treatment. Can sleep apnea be secondary to tinnitus or tension headaches? I've seen it. The VA admitted I was disabled, but they denied, saying I didn't have enough active duty time, yet I served in the National Guard for 6 months, 6.5 years, and I had LODs. You might just have not had enough active duty time, like they said. Your National Guard time and LODs in the National Guard are irrelevant to your VA claim. The only thing that matters is your active duty time and your active duty time for training purposes. If I submit a supplemental claim with new evidence, can I write a statement as well? Yes. I'm getting buddy letters and have a lieutenant that sent a letter in regards to my mental health. That should be very helpful. If I claim anxiety, primary, and depression secondary to flat feet with a Nexus letter, if I get denied for anxiety, would that have any impact on the secondary being granted if warranted? No, it should not. Filed PTSD and was denied because I did not have a diagnosis. VA psychiatrist put new diagnosis for PTSD. Should I do a supplemental claim? Absolutely. What action can you take if a VA examiner literally lied about the actual exam? She did not view my buddy notes. I want to file some type of complaint. She needs to be removed from her job. I know she is deliberately writing wrong things to get the veteran denied. Okay, so the VA does not have very good oversight of contract examiners and contract companies. So there is no process specifically to complain about a CMP exam. You have to write it out to the VA, tell them what happened, request an amendment to your exam, file a civil rights complaint, do something to make some noise at the VA, get your representative to speak up for you. Just tell them your CMP exam was horrible and you need another one, or the examiner was horrible and you need another one. I have specifically 2 examiners in my county that if I ever see one of my clients get scheduled with them, I call them and say, reschedule the exam and tell them you want a different provider. Because I know these 2 examiners are going to say no to everything. One of them, a QTC examiner, always writes for every veteran, no pathology to render a diagnosis. What the NDL is going on? The veteran has pain. The veteran has other things. I'm not a medical professional, but I can tell when a veteran has a pathology to render a diagnosis. The other one is a psychologist, and she minimizes everything that a veteran tells her and what happens in service. She does not take combat seriously. She does not take increased claims seriously if you don't have specific treatment records for it. And it's absolute disservice to the veteran for her to be a contract examiner. I've thought about adding these examiners. I've thought about different ways to do it. But what I don't want to do is hurt my clients in any way going forward. So I've decided that it's best for me probably not to say nothing at this time. But hopefully there becomes a process or becomes something where we can tell them about bad contract examiners. If it's a VA examiner, you can call the supervisor, you can call their boss, you can go through things like that. These contract companies, they're just not good oversight. So my best advice is make some noise. The squeaky wheel gets old. Call the White House complaint line. Call your senator. Call somebody. Try to get a new exam. Ask for a hearing. Many times you can sit down and explain things in a personal hearing, and you can get a new exam. I'm having surgery at the end of the month for a service-connected condition. When should I submit my claim for temporary disability? Right after your surgery. If you do not appeal a decision in time, can you go back and request to go before the board, and is there a time frame? If you did not appeal a decision in time, that decision has become final, and you can only reopen it with a supplemental claim. If your supplemental claim moves forward and they deny it, then you can go to the board. How does benefits before discharge claim work, especially some clinics are closed? Basically, if you file a claim before 90 days of getting out, they're supposed to give you exams and have your rating ready for the day or day after you get out, or within a month after you get out, or something like that. Basically, it's to get you a rating right after you get out. So I would definitely take advantage of that process. Get some help and file your claim early. How does the VA calculator for adding up to 100% actually work? Do you have to have at least 2? I know a lot about the VA, but I'm not an expert in VA math. It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. It's about the percentage of the body that's disabled, and that's how they add things together. There's plenty of calculators online. People probably posted them in the group. Take a look at them, but VA math doesn't make much sense. And as you try to get close to 100, it gets harder. Do you have to have at least 2 issues rated as certain percentage in order to get 100%? If so, what is the minimum percentage for those 2 disabilities? No, you can have 100% for one disability. You can get 100% just for PTSD. You can get 100% just for sleep apnea if it's so disabling that your airway or something is restricted or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the 100% criteria is, but there's lots of disabilities you can get 100% for by itself. I believe you can get 100% for diabetes or being or a heart condition. But forgive me on the scales. Look at the schedule for rating disabilities. But there's plenty of conditions that you can get 100% by itself for. I had surgery in January 2019 for a service-connected issue. The surgery went bad and I had to do it again. August 19th. My doctor just filled out the paperwork saying that the surgery problems did not subside and I'm not functioning properly. I'm already at 100%. Will they back pay me from my first surgery for how long until now? Can I ask for aid and attendance just until I have the next surgery and recover? It's aid and attendance and how about housebound benefits on top of what you get monthly? Will they back pay you to your first surgery for homebound until now? Probably not. Can you ask for aid and attendance until the next surgery? Yes, you can. Is aid and attendance and housebound benefits on top of what you get monthly? Yes, they are. If I have a claim open currently, can I start a new claim with new symptoms? Or do I wait until the claim is closed? Wait until the claim is closed and completed. If you have more evidence for your claim, go ahead and send it in. But you don't need to file a new claim. I filed a claim for PTSD, depression, and anxiety, MST, and I had my doctor give me a DBQ and filed FDC, and it closed only in a month's time. Is that a good or bad sign? It's neutral. You just have to wait on the decision. Is medical evidence from a private provider what I should upload a Nexus letter as on e-benefits? Yes. I'm at 90%, a true 93%. What would I need to get 95%? Probably like If you're at 93%, you probably need 20 more percent, or something that causes the bilateral effect on your claim. Do you have to have a Nexus letter for PTSD MST claim? The answer is no, you don't have to have one. You need a diagnosis and some subjective evidence, but you don't have to have a Nexus letter. The examiner can diagnose you on the day of exam, and you're going to be approved for a PTSD exam. I just wouldn't count on that. I would have my ducks in a row when I filed my claim and already have a diagnosis, have been seeking treatment, and that type of thing. If you claim anxiety and they find you are better under adjustment disorder and or depression, will they consider you for those? Yes. Yes, they will. You can file one mental health disorder and then you go through an exam and the examiner diagnoses something else and they rate you based on that other diagnosis. For the presumptive fibromyalgia, if no diagnosis yet, I'm prescribed meds for it, can I file a claim? You could try to get diagnosed by a CMP examiner. I just would have my diagnosis first before I file. Why can't a VSO give me a copy of my CMP exam because the VA is taking 1 year? The VSO should be able to give you a copy of your CMP exam if you've had your CMP exam. If you haven't had it or it's taken a year, then they have no way of getting it to you. But if it's already happened and the examiner has returned the exam to the VA, your VSO should be able to give you a copy of your exam. If they say they can't, if they won't download it for you, if they won't at least tell you what's on it, let you take a picture of the screen, something, go get a new VSO. Prior to exiting the military, I was referred to a sleep clinic where they determined I had moderate sleep apnea, but this particular clinic needed to perform an additional sleep apnea overnight evaluation. The next appointment was canceled due to COVID, and then I eased. Let me see. I don't see the rest of your question. 1 second. Prior to exiting the military. But the particular clinic needed to perform an additional sleep apnea test overnight. The next appointment was canceled due to COVID, and then I EAS. You should still be able to get rated for sleep apnea, or you need to go to the VA or some outside doctor and get that overnight evaluation, and then file your claim for sleep apnea. What is beneficial for you is that you went to see a sleep clinic during service, you had complaints, and they believed that you had sleep apnea. That should be helpful for your claim. But if you need the overnight evaluation to get official diagnosis, then go get that. COVID has messed up a lot of things, but if you've gotten out of service, there's no way to get back in service and get that exam. You know what I mean? Tell the examiners that you are taping the interview with them. I would not advise that because the VA has a procedural rule that says that the claimant has no legal right to record an exam or have a party attend with them. So if you tell them you're taping them, they're likely just going to stop the exam. You need to check the laws in your state. Is it a one-party consent state where only one party has to consent to being recorded for you to record a conversation, or is two-party consent needed? If I have items that are deferred. While I'm on that subject, my advice is to, if you have a higher level review informal conference, record it. I frequently see review officers who don't write up like I had the conversation with them. For instance, I had a veteran that was denied, that was given a 0% rating for his foot condition when the examiner clearly put pain, that he had painful motion on the exam. After the HLR, the review officer still gave him 0%. I'm taking it higher because it doesn't make any sense. But the point was, in his write-up of the informal conference, he never mentioned the part about pain, and that is what I was arguing, the painful motion principle. So my advice is, if you're in a one-party state, record your informal conferences. Write up your own statement of how it went and upload it to the VA. If I have items that are deferred, what are my next steps? You just need to wait it out. Microhealth has a good calculator. Yes, they do. EAS. I did not get a sleep machine, and now I have to start the process over again and request a sleep apnea machine. Would I still be able to get rated for it? Possibly. You might get rated at 30 or 0 with no machine, but once you get a machine, put in for an increase. Who can help me with not being able to work? A VSO. Go find a VSO or representative and have them help you with a unemployability claim. Can having a service animal help you with the disability rating? I've never necessarily seen an increase of rating, but if you have a service animal, I write a statement about it, how it helps you and how it heals you, and how without it, you're a mess or something like that. You can't go wrong explaining why you need one. Filed a knee condition and denied service connection 7 years later, resubmitting with Nexus. Do I need to submit a supplemental new claim? Is service connected? Will they look at the previous decision? If service connected, that's all you need to worry about. If it gets service connected now, that's all they need to worry about. They will, during the process of considering it, if you've submitted new and relevant evidence, can look at the previous decision on why it was denied, and if your new evidence is actually new and relevant, to reopen the claim. So the previous decision will come into play and be considered, but the Nexus letter should overcome that, and you should be able to go on to the next stage, which is probably to get a new CMP exam for the condition. Have you ever seen claims that are rated for urinary incontinence secondary to hysterectomy? Yes. I've seen it. How can I get a dog? I actually don't know. Talk to your VA doctor about it. There's some other organizations outside the VA that do that, but I don't know much about that. I don't know everything. I was getting treated for varicose veins prior to leaving the military. I tried to claim it, but they said not service connected. How can I connect it? I need the exact reason why it was denied. You need to overcome that reason. If they said no nexus, you need a nexus. If they said no diagnosis, you need a diagnosis. If they said no event in service, you need to talk about your events in service. Is it hard to claim sleep apnea after service? My roommate and significant other are claiming that snoring is disturbing them, or should I file it as secondary to TDMJ or PTSD? You would probably have an easier time filing it secondary to one of those conditions, but you can claim it after service. If you get some buddy letters that say it happened during service, it probably won't get approved at the agency, but it might hold some weight at the board. But the easier claim is to claim it secondary. If you are connected 10% for Achilles tendonitis in both ankles, if you want to claim bilateral instability of ankles, do you request an increase or submit it as a new primary? I would submit it as secondary to the current condition. Submit instability as secondary to the current condition. That's my advice based on what you told me. I filed a claim for a number of issues years ago. I will return no service connected, and they clearly were. Can I file those again with new and relevant evidence? Yes, you can. Misdiagnosed and treated for ulcer stomach. Treated in VA hospital, discharged, and a year later diagnosed with stomach cancer. Surgeries 3 and colon, prostate cancer with cyst on liver. I submitted heart with MST and gastric issues. Do I have a chance? That's a whole lot to take in. I would have to look at your specific circumstance to tell you if you have a chance. Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance, but whether it would get service connected or not, I need to take a look at it. Not that I can. I'm not currently accepting new clients, but find somebody that can help you with that. Find a good representative. Have you seen urinary incontinence due to anxiety? Yes, I have. Can I connect chronic sinusitis and rhinitis to upper respiratory and cervix? Yes, you can. I have been out of the military since 2003 OIF Operation Iraq Freedom Marine vet. Been out since returning from Iraq. Stop loss. I haven't found anything yet. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. File your claim as soon as possible. I would start with going to a VSO, giving them your records, and letting them scale through them and see what you should claim. If you don't know how to do the process yourself, get a representative. But you should file your claim as soon as possible. It's not too late. I've seen vets 30 years out get a rating. So no worries. Just file your claims. Hopefully you've been getting treatment for it. But if not, still try. What could I tell you about a psoriasis claim? It's a medical condition. It's a serious claim. There's lots of secondaries that can happen from it because it affects so much of the body. Yeah, that's about as much as I know. I've seen a couple people rated for it. It's not that it's hard to get a rating. It's just not an everyday type of thing. You know, everybody doesn't have psoriasis, so that's about the extent of my knowledge. What state are you in? I got mine for Battle Buddies of SC in Simpsonville, SC. I'm in North Carolina. Mental health doctor should and can submit application for you. Yes. I was service connected for my knees and now I can hardly walk. What should I do? You may want to file for increase. I don't know the specifics of your situation though. How can I get VA to tell me the reason why my varicose claim got denied? It should be in your rating decision letter. The decision letter should tell you exactly what was the reason of denial. You need to read it again, read it closely, pay close attention to it. And, you know, if you're still within the time frame to appeal, please appeal it. On that subject, I just had a client who filed tinnitus some years ago. And I thought there was no way, based on what the doctor wrote, that he would get service connected. Well, that goes to show you that I don't know everything because the board just service connected it the other day. I had I tried everything I could do for the client, but I still thought it was going to be a long shot for him to get service connected. You should appeal denials. Don't just let the time frame pass by and you don't do anything. Take the necessary steps to appeal a higher level reviewer, the board, court agency. If the board denies it, take it to court, get a lawyer, because you have a number of chances at different levels. So if you're still within your period to appeal, please appeal that decision. I had a total thyroidectomy, submitted a claim 0% SC. My endocrinologist doesn't listen to me. Her nurse asks about my symptoms and documents them. Then she turns around and documents my record with the opposite of what I tell her. So when I found my secondary brain fog, blurred vision, fatigue, her incorrect notes in my file did not help my claim. In the process of getting the record amended and looking for a civilian endocrinologist who listens. Can I send civilian? Can I send civilian endocrinologist who listens? Can I send civilian documents in for a claim? Of course. That's private medical evidence. How hard is it to get a service connected for ED? It's not hard. If you have it or you get it service connected secondarily, it's not hard. I have been denied for sleep apnea. I have an AHH rating of 4.5. I have a sleep machine for snoring with a rating of 60% for asthma. I asked to have reevaluation for obstructive sleep apnea and for my RD rating of 20 to be used. Any advice? If you have 60% for apnea, there is no point in pursuing I don't see a point. I need to look at specifics of your claim, but I don't see a point in pursuing a sleep apnea claim. They're just going to be lumped together and you're going to keep the 60% for asthma. They're both respiratory conditions. You can't be rated for more than one. You won't get a separate rating for sleep apnea. You need to leave your 60% rating alone. That's my advice based on what you told me. Can you claim for bilateral knee or shoulder pain if you have only been diagnosed on one side during service? Yes, because I would claim the side that was diagnosed on service and then claim the other side secondary to if your right knee was diagnosed on service and your left knee is now painful, claim your left knee secondary to your right knee. Can shin splints be secondary to service-connected knees? It can, but the VA will lump them together and rate them as one. The VA considers shin splints either an ankle problem or a knee problem, so you won't get a separate rating for them. How long are appeals taking these days? A long time. Probably a supplemental claim is taking 3 to 4, 5 months. HLRs are taking 5 to 6 months. Board decisions are still taking 9 to 11 months. Sleep study for sleep apnea, August 2012 in service. Not enough episodes. ES, January 13th. CMP conducted 1 year after discharge. May 2020 test, severe sleep apnea. Resubmitted at secondary, but happened to butter letter when I was on terminal leave and on for 1 year while taking up remote employment. You should have a chance. How should I go about getting service connected for varicose veins and skin issues like randomly breaking out in hives? File a claim, find a good representative, and get them to scale through your records and see what you can claim and that type of thing. If it's due to Gulf War syndrome or something else, tied to what needs to be tied to claim it. If I have a rating for sleep apnea and have my tonsils and uvula removed and my soft palate repaired, can I claim anything for them? The surgery was done because of sleep apnea and it was done by a VA doctor. I believe that you can, but I think having your tonsils and uvula removed, I don't think there's a rating for that because it's resolved once it's removed. I could be wrong. I will look in the Board of Veterans Appeals database and see if anybody else has been rated for it. And if so, then claim it. If I submitted claim for HLR without requesting a conference, can I still request a conference? If so, how? I would submit another HLR form and put up there you want an informal conference. Submit a statement that says you want a conference, you want to withdraw the first HLR form and go with the second one. How can I connect obstructive sleep apnea secondary to? Could it be migraine or tinnitus? Yes. Can chest splints be claimed secondary to pulmonary fasciitis? I know they're usually self-diagnosed, so I'm not sure how hard it is to pursue. Yes, they can. The VA is going to rate it as either an ankle or a knee problem. I had a decision review, supplemental, and appealed to situation. Was offered 45% before discharge, but did not accept because of amount and not understanding. I have major gastro issues and upper respiratory issues with asthma. Lower back surgery and use cane. I filed but clueless as they are looking at my evidence. I have 3 of the 4 presumptive criteria for Agent Orange exposure, which caused cancer from service in Korea. I have buddy letters from fellow soldiers that served in the same camp that are service-connected for AO, but I can't prove direct AO exposure. What are the chances the buddy letters will convince the judge I have presumptives? I think you have a good chance. Hubby finally got 80% overall rating and waiting for appeal to be resulted. It's on the docket now. When can I go for secondaries? Now. If it's something that the 80% is for, you can do secondaries now. You can file a claim and have an appeal going at the same time. A lot of people go about it wrong because when they file, you get 10% for PTSD and you feel you were wrong. So you file an appeal for the evaluation of PTSD for it to be higher. You can still put in an increase for PTSD while that appeal is going on. I have an appeal pending, but I also have a supplemental claim for PTSD that was not. Can I still pursue the PTSD claim? Yes. All right, and it looks like that's all, folks. Thank you for all the questions. I've tried to stay on as long as possible, and I think I've answered everything. Again, please remember that what I have provided was just for educational purposes. If you have specific questions regarding your claim, consult with a veteran, VSO, agent, or attorney. But you're in no contractual relationship with me. Thank you so much for your service. I wish y'all the best. Have a great evening.